Thank you very much indeed for the opportunity to be with you today for this very important gathering. I'd like to thank Shanghai for the warm hospitality that we have received here. I would like to congratulate Fudan University on their contribution to this event and on celebrating their 110th birthday. And welcome the role that universities are playing in our conference today. We've had distinguished contributions from the University of Korea, and for me, having moved from politics to now being a professor at King's College in London, I'm very aware of the importance of higher education to the modern economy. Higher education promotes the R&D, which is going to be crucial to improving the economic performance of all of our countries. And indeed, when I was the Minister for Universities in the British Cabinet, we introduced an initiative in which we pledged more public funding for R&D on our university campuses, but challenged our universities as they bid for that money to bring at least twice as much money from private commercial partners as well. And within the first year, they leveraged over £1 billion of new investment on R&D facilities in our campuses, with more than two-thirds of that coming from commercial companies that wanted to conduct their research in our universities, and not just British companies. I was very pleased that Huawei, for example, participated in that program to set up a facility to research in the Internet of Things. So universities are very important for growth. Universities have another role in tackling a challenge which is going to be very important in the 21st century, but which we have not really talked about so far this morning. And that is ensuring that as many people as possible in our societies have the opportunities to benefit from the growth that we generate. The challenge of tackling inequality, the challenge of spreading opportunity, of delivering what in China has been called the harmonious society. And when we analyse in Britain the crucial drivers of inequality, one very important factor is quite simply if you went to university or not. If you went to university, you have the human capital to benefit from technological advances and the growth in the economy. If you didn't have the opportunity of going to university, your chances of enjoying high living standards and being able to maintain successful employment during your working lives are sadly much reduced. That's why one of the policies that we introduced in the previous government was to remove the number controls, limiting the number of people going to university, and why I'm so excited by China's ambitions for many more young people in China to have that opportunity. Education, especially higher education, also helps us understand some of the other crucial forces driving the modern economy. And one of them is that increasingly trade will not simply be in manufactured goods. Trade will be in services. Services such as education. We are already in the position in Britain where our second largest export to China is education. Chinese students who come to Britain where they're very welcome to study. And as we look at future growth in China and around the world, we see enormous opportunities for increasing internationalization in education, in healthcare, in social care for older people, advice on creating new pension systems and the investments that they need in order to generate high living standards for people in their retirement. And there is a challenge here for the international community. So often during the second half of the 20th century, the challenge was to remove the barriers to trade in manufactured goods. The challenge now is to remove the barriers to trade in services, so that nations can exchange services and can benefit from access to the highest quality services wherever they may come from. So, growth in trade in services is a big international economic trend. There's a second trend I'd briefly like to report to this conference, which again has not really been referred to so far today. And this is urbanisation, the increasing proportion of our population living in cities. Britain was the first country to go through that historic barrier when more than half of our population lived in a city. We went through that in the 1850s. The world as a whole has just gone through that barrier. In 2008, more than half of the world's population live in cities. Making cities function efficiently will be one of the crucial challenges as rates of population growth in cities continue. And it's very important, therefore, that we learn lessons about what can be a well-managed city. Great cities like Shanghai certainly are. We share expertise in how we manage cities that are growing rapidly, and we have in London one of the very few cities in the West which is still growing fast. It's about to go through a population of 10 million, so we know about all the challenges of how to handle a growing population in a big city. Delivering urbanisation will also involve investing in infrastructure so that people can come together. And all the evidence is that innovation thrives in cities where people can cluster together. That's where the great ideas of the 21st century are going to come from, especially cities which have world-class universities at their heart. For both international trade in services and for our cities to function, something else very important is needed, and that is the right kind of infrastructure. Now again, today we've focused on physical infrastructure, and that is certainly very important. But there's another sort of infrastructure as well, the intellectual infrastructure that stands behind and enables our physical infrastructure to function, and in particular, the importance of getting common standards that enable the high-tech facilities of a modern economy to interact with each other. I observed in Shanghai that as well as this great conference, you have, I think, about to start a conference on the Internet of Things. For the Internet of Things to function and yield its potential, it is very important that we have common standards that enables the heating system in our flat, the IT system in our motor car, the IT system controlling our bank account, to have common technical standards enabling them to interact and intercommunicate. For that, there are important roles for the countries that are at the intellectual forefront of these developments in agreeing standards that enable them to share their functions. If we do not agree shared standards, it will be impossible for our economies to enjoy the benefit of these advances in technology. Let me end by just very briefly describing to you the approach which the new British government, just elected in the last couple of weeks, will be taking to some of the big international economic challenges and to managing our own economy in Britain. We have great ambitions for the British economy. Our aim is that within the next 20 years, the British economy will be Europe's largest economy. With our favourable demographics, increasing population, an increase in the number of young people, and with our flexible labour market absorbing very high percentages of adults in the labour market, it should be possible for us to become Europe's largest economy, though our big weakness where we need to do better is ensuring that our labour force works productively and improving their productivity. We want to see, as we grow, we want an open and friendly partnership with China. We are open to China. We are keen to see the success of the AIIB. I was very proud as Science Minister to launch the Newton Fund to enable us to collaborate with China in science. We also want the Eurozone to succeed, and it's very important that the Eurozone once more becomes a source of growth, not just in Europe, but across the world. And we will support initiatives that ensure that the Eurozone tackles its problems and becomes an optimum currency area. Britain will try to negotiate for a new and better relationship as part of the European Union. The proposals we put forward will be aimed not just at ensuring that Britain's distinctive economic model is preserved, but will also be aimed at ensuring that Europe as a whole becomes more competitive in the global economy. We want those negotiations to succeed and hope that then we will have a good, solid, long-term basis for Britain to continue as a member of the European Union. And we also will participate fully in discussions in the EU about the importance of innovation. And for me, as a former science minister, I'm very pleased that we in Britain will be investing in the 8 great technologies that we identified, technologies that are crucial to the success of the world economy, both the IT and digital technologies driving the internet, the robotics and autonomous systems, the Internet of Things, but the extraordinary excitement as we see the convergence, what they say in Cambridge University, the convergence of the dry technologies of IT with the wet sciences of the biological sciences. As they converge, we see exciting opportunities for improvements in many crucial areas. So it's going to be an exciting time. And this conference is crucial in ensuring that all the different nations represented here today come together to secure prosperity for all of our peoples as the world advances. Thank you very much indeed.